朱凱廸議員，剛才你提
So Chu Hoi-Dik, when you moved your motion, you did not specify whether the motion that you are going to move under 88(1) is for the remainder of today's meeting or during the consideration of certain business. Are you going to just focus on cross-set politics? Well, you can say whatever you want, President. I want to invoke ROP Rule 88(1) and move that members of the press and of the public do withdraw to be applied to the remainder of today's meeting. You were saying that today we'll be dealing with the motion on collocation. Well, you have to specify whether the withdrawal is for today's remainder of today's meeting. But this is a motion move under Rule 88(1) that members of the press and of the public do withdraw, specifying that the withdrawal is to be for the remainder of today's meeting. I'll deal with this motion first. According to Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance, generally speaking. Yes, point of order? We have seldom invoked Rule 88. When you talk about withdrawal, are you saying that they cannot in this chamber, or would they be barred from remaining in the outside of this chamber on the first floor? Generally speaking, according to Electoral Powers and Privileges, council meetings are conducted as open meetings. And this motion is not in line with our usual practice. But I don't want to speculate on the motive of Mr. Chi in moving this motion. In view of Rule 88(1), once this is moved, I must put a question to the Council. Dr. Low, when we talk about withdrawal, it means withdrawing from this chamber. And it will cover members of the press and members of the public in the public gallery. They will have to leave this chamber. Before I propose the question to members, I would like to stress that this motion is narrowly defined, and that is why members of the press and members of the public should withdraw during the specified period of our meeting today. Members should speak on this particular point, and members are advised to be succinct in offering their comments, and members should not talk about matters in the past. President, according to Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance, our meetings are to be conducted in open. So why do you allow this motion to be discussed and debated? Why don't you rule this to be out of order? Well, under Rule 88(1), such a motion can be moved, and then those people will be asked to withdraw. And also 41(1) and 45(1), members should not mention irrelevant issues. And also 41, members should not repeat points made by himself or by other members. If they persist in making irrelevant or tedious repetition of members' arguments, I may direct him to discontinue his speech. Well, you said you would not. We were not allowed to talk about past history, but if we talk about tradition, or whether we are for or against, we have to talk about our tradition, our convention. So is your directive too restrictive, or I approve this on special grounds. It has never been done before. But under the relevant rule, I must propose the question once it's moved. I have no choice. I approve this motion, but the scope is narrowly defined. I mentioned 41 bracket 1, 45 bracket 1 of our ROP. I believe members are familiar with these rules in the ROP. You know what should be done, and you also know my orders. Ms. Alice Mack, President, please clarify the meaning of withdrawal of members of the press and the public. Would that cover the broadcast by the media of this meeting? If this is passed, does it mean that the broadcast will have to be stopped? Well, yes, you are correct. If it's passed, then our meeting is a closed meeting, closed-door meeting. Mr. Chiu, I think you may now speak on your motion. Thank you, President. Fellow members, yesterday, President, I request a quorum count. We have a quorum. President, yesterday, in this council, President, I request a quorum call. Do we have a quorum, President? We still have a quorum. Please count the quorum.
朱凱廸議員。
Mr. Eddie Chu. Thank you, President. Thank you, President, for allowing this debate to take place. I'm not going to use 15 minutes. I just want to make a number of footnotes for members' benefit. First of all, yesterday, members received document from the pro-establishment camp on amendments to the rules of procedure. And that includes taking out Rule 54(1) and Rule 88(1) for members to move a motion without notice. So the amendments are to take away members such a right. And now I am invoking exactly Rule 88(1). Mr. Edichu, this is not the Committee on Rules of Procedure. Can you please explain why you are moving this motion? Why must you want members of the public and the media to withdraw? Well, since they mentioned Rule 88(1), so I might as well just abide to their wish, and now we have Rule 88(1) before us. Now, whatever members are going to say in the speech later on, please bear in mind one point. Now, especially members who are members of the PPC or the NPC, I hope you will introduce the principles of the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance and the rules of procedures to the mainland committees so they can go by Hong Kong standard to make public all meetings. That's the second point. The third point, my motive is simple. I want to be the first and the last in the history of the Legislative Council to move this motion. Because in the proposed amendments, the pro-establishment camp said something about this council, but we are not like that. So that's why we want to keep Rule 88(1). But of course, we need the consent of the President for Rule 88(1), 2, and 3. They should be abolished forever, so that we could bring our rules of procedure more in line with the standards of the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance.
Lastly, I believe many members have spoken outside the chamber. I think I have been pinned to the pillar of shame for restraining or restricting the freedom of expression. I hope you will all look at the very dire situation we are facing. This legislature is gradually becoming like the National People's Congress. Members have no regard for the fact that we have to be accountable to the public and we have to monitor the government. Regardless of this, they are going to amend the rules of procedure and the proceedings for the FC and PWSC and ESC. We must face up to this pressure. Everyone in Hong Kong should come out and safeguard the dignity of this council. Don't allow them to turn this legislature into NPC. Mr. Wong Kwok Kin, I'd like to know What has Mr. Zhu Haidik's remarks have got to do with his motion? I have just noted Mr. Eddie Zhu's motion. I will suspend this for 10 minutes.